on this. Fabulous. And I am going to share my screen. Boop. This present. All right. So tonight we're going to talk about nutrition for your pets and what's in your dog's bowl. And this is, so nutrition's definitely a really, it's a really broad topic, and there's so much you can do in nutrition, but this is sort of the basic, the baseline. And I know a lot of you know a lot of this, and then, you know, we've got definitely some more advanced classes. Like we're really going to dive into nutrition when we talk about the allergy class. So this is a basic. So what's in your dog's bowl? Basically, are you feeding disease or are you fighting disease? And as we had mentioned in some of our previous classes, that 1 out of every 2 pets will encounter some type of cancer within their lifetime. And my goal is really just to educate you to read labels and does this really make sense? Does it make sense that this sweet boy should be eating that processed cardboard, or should he have real live whole nutrition, just as if we would feed ourselves? You know, it's interesting. This is Dr. Karen Becker's quote. My professional peers are the only group of healthcare providers that say our patients should eat more processed food and less fresh food. Fresh food could be dangerous. What practitioner would ever say that for a human? Absolutely not. So this is the only industry that they are really promoting processed food. And one of the big reasons for that is most vets literally get about 10 minutes of nutrition in vet school. So unless they've taken that extra step to go to like the Chi Institute down in Fort Lauderdale and take a nutrition course. One of my very best friends, which I built my last grooming salon with together, Dr. Norma Hout, she teaches acupuncture at the Chi Institute, and she is also a professor of nutrition, which is a very involved 3-year course. So it's very interesting. And here's a couple just before and afters, what nutrition can do. Live nutrition, we gave them cellular supplements to help repair the skin, topical follicle regeneration, essential oils. But really nutrition was the biggie. He was on processed food. He was on a multiple of steroids and antibiotics and you know, ketazole shampoos that were just depleting his immune system. And he was at this point on the very bottom picture that they were actually going to euthanize him. And I asked them politely to try my way. You know, just to give it a chance. Give me, you know, 4 to 6 weeks to see if we see any change. This is actually one of Sherry's little clients. This dog had Cushing's disease, has Cushing's disease, but you can see on the left, he was on a processed food. He was on really high doses of his Cushing's meds. On the right, changed his food to a natural diet, and the Cushing meds were able to be reduced drastically. And this was in a very short period of time. This is my own dog. This was Capone, that by accident, we were actually x-raying his spine because he was showing some signs of arthritis. And we found this very large mass in his abdomen, and his tummy had been getting big. And you can see that right here, this is his stomach. It's all pushed up in his back. And so he had started to, you know, have this little acid reflux thing going on. So we found this on November 24th. And I detoxed him for 30 days. And on December 19th, before I left, we dissolved it, and his entire stomach dropped down into the normal space. And he was already on a raw diet. He was on supplements, but I really detoxed him. So that's where a detox comes into play, and maybe some additional supplements. This was another client of mine that actually Dr. Norma Hout, the lady up in St. Augustine, asked me to come to St. Augustine and work with her with this dog. He had mast cell tumor. And the tumor was so big right here, they couldn't get clean margins, but leave skin. So they left it open. I said, leave it open, we could heal this. And so he lived with me for a period of time, and we fed him a raw diet, supplements, and some topical oils. And you can see it's closing naturally on the 5th. This was on the 15th. He actually, the owner ended up in a divorce situation and couldn't care for him anymore. So she gave him to me, and I placed him in a home up north on Cape Cod. And he's still alive. This boy, this mast cell tumor was, I think, about 5 or 6 years ago. So this is where detox is really super important. Just another client. This is Denali on June 4th. And in a short period of time, Denali's skin is starting to heal. Really important. Here's some paws that, this is a common sign of allergies, or, immune response is chewing at the feet. This is after. Okay, so there's basically 3 categories of pet food. You have option 1, our fave, which is the raw, species appropriate prey model diet. And this is what they get in the wild. So if a wolf ate, an animal in the wild, they would get 80% muscle, they would get 10% bone, 10% organ meat, and then slight vegetation from the stomach. So we mimic this diet. This diet is full of live enzymes because this diet is not cooked at all. And an animal is given so many enzymes at birth and through, pharmaceuticals, spaying, illness, disease. Those enzymes are depleted. And unless you replace those enzymes, they eventually go into bankruptcy and disease takes over, and then death. So it's really important to have live enzymes. This is option 2. There's a lot of people who really aren't ready to take that jump into raw diet. It bothers them. Then they may think it's hard, and it's not hard. It does not have to look like this. And we're going to talk about that too. So this is option 2, a gently cooked diet. There's many companies like Nom Nom here. There's Farmer's Dogs. There's several companies that offer fresh proteins, fresh vegetation, some organ meat in a gently cooked diet. This is a great option, far better than kibble, but it's been cooked and there are no live enzymes. So you must replace those enzymes somehow, but still a great option. And then we have option number 3, which is our processed kibble or canned diet. And this is a really, decent brand of kibble, yet kibble is pumped full of preservatives and additives to make it shelf sustainable, so it will live on the shelf for a couple of years. Do we really want those chemicals into our pet's body? And there again is no live enzymes. And this is where we're going to go to the next slide. I brought up the ingredients for that from, and so, good ingredients in the beginnings. You've got some salmon, so that's whole salmon, which is great, fish broth, chicken. Once you get into the meals, salmon meal, duck meal, meal is what's left over, not fit for human consumption. So that's feet, feathers, duck, beaks, eyeballs. So meal is, a keyword that you're really looking to avoid. You've got lentils, chickpeas. Peas are one of the most allergic foods for dogs. And these are all just fillers right now. You've got chicken fat that's preserved with, and this is basically, tocopherols is vitamin E. So, decent, not bad. Sweet potatoes, pea flour. So now we're getting into adding grains. Dogs are carnivores. They don't need grains. Dry tomato paste or tomato pumice. That's a filler. That's a filler and has no nutritional value. We've got a dried egg product, again, with the peas, can cause allergies. And then you go down here and you've got some vegetables. So really kind of a decent food. Salt. Okay, for a dog that has kidney failure or congestive heart failure, salt is a no-no. We get into potassium chloride. Then you go down here. Look at all this. Do we need all this in here? You know, they would never get this in the wild. And these are synthetic. They're not from whole foods. They're not getting, say, their magnesium from a whole food. So their body does not know how to absorb that. The sorbic acid, when we talked about the kidney bladder yesterday, sorbic acid can actually raise the pH of their urine and cause crystals and stones. So that is definitely something that we want to avoid. We have blueberries, which is so low on the list. So basically you feed your dog a cup of this kibble food and you're thinking he's getting blueberries. He's basically getting about a pencil dot of a blueberry. That's it. So we really need to read those labels. And this is just quick, but and we're going to really dive into this in the allergy class. There are hot and cold foods in Chinese medicine. So a warming food would warm the body. So if you have a dog that has cancer or has allergies, you want to stay away from foods that are going to create inflammation, that are going to warm the body even more. So chicken is, you know, an absolute no-no for them. Lamb can be a warm food. You know, and you go over here to some of these vegetables, like some of these vegetables you can, I can barely see without my glasses. You have papaya. There's a lot of sugar in papaya that can feed yeast. So you want to stay away from that. And then cold foods are like turkey. That's going to cool the body down. That's going to cool allergies down. That's going to cool cancer down. Duck is a great one. Rabbit is amazing. Alligator, phenomenal. So here's two, you know, quick charts for you, but that's a bit of a deeper dive. So then, you know, I had a client the other day, we were talking about the food and they were really doing such a great job with the food, but they're still feeding milk bones. So, you know, they can cause bad breath, weight gain, cancer, fur loss, itching, hot spots, tartar buildup, because it's all carbohydrates, digestive upset, inflammation. And then when we looked at the ingredients together, his dog has allergies. So the very first ingredient is wheat flour. And the meal, like we talked about, this was the biggie. It's preserved with BHA and BHT. So BHA and BHT can induce an allergic reaction in the skin and has been classified as a possible carcinogen. That is pretty scary that they put that in there as a preservative. The next one is pepperoni. I know so many people that feed this, and so you've got meat byproducts. Again, you've got what's left over, not fit for human consumption. Soy grits. No dog should ever eat soy. 98% of soy is genetically modified and, you know, can cause huge hormone disrupting problems. We have so many dogs that have thyroid conditions right now. Sugar. This is what makes these so addictive, right? We all know that sugar is really more addictive than cocaine. And it's really hard to get off sugar. It's really hard to do a sugar detox on yourself. How about this? How about propylene glycol? You know, antifreeze, right? Like seriously, after ingesting propylene glycol, about 45% of this will be excreted. Will be excreted into the kidneys unchanged. The rest is broken down by the body into lactic acid, which causes, right, that's inflammation. So really feeding that arthritis. When consumed in toxic quantities, the buildup of lactic acid can lead to acidosis and kidney failure. Well, that seems like a good idea to feed our dogs. And then we've got some caramel color. We've got red dye number 40. I mean, this is why dogs are having tear staining and allergies. You know, none of this is needed. So my recommendation for treats, and this, I actually went to the store and bought some of these today for my guys, is single ingredient freeze dried treats. So these are minnows. I love the minnows because it's a natural form of omegas. They're in their natural state. So you can see right here on the ingredients, minnow. That's it. Nothing else but a minnow. Super simple. And these are readily available. Stella and Chewy's make some great single ingredient freeze-dried treats. These are lamb hearts, and you can see over here in the ingredients, lamb heart. These are wonderful. Now, when you're looking, and just because Stella and Chewy's is an amazing brand, it has this one amazing product, I personally, because I'm really, really fussy about what my dogs eat, I will not feed my dogs the meal mixers. The meal mixers have like 35 ingredients in them, far too many preservatives, additives that I don't want. I always want single ingredients. So just because your brand has one thing that might be good, don't assume that everything else that they make is. So read your labels. Natural Chewy's. I love bone marrow bones for my dog. If you have a dog that has loose stools or digestive challenges, you're definitely going to want to really scoop out this bone marrow. You're not going to want to cook these. Cooked bones splinter. Raw bones do not splinter. Even like a chicken bone. If you took a chicken bone raw and you bent it, very, very pliable, right? And it will not splinter. But if you cook it, it'll splinter. And that's when we worry about punctures and obstructions. My dogs get raw bone marrow bones at least 3 times a week. Their teeth are as white as could be. Mental stimulation in the wild, you know, you see a lion, he is just so satisfied when he's laying there, like really chewing on those bones. That's mental stimulation for them. So if you have a dog that suffers from any type of separation anxiety or stress, then giving them a bone like this when you leave the house is a great option. And bonus, it's cleaning their teeth amazing. So then there's some basic supplements that I recommend people start with. We have a lot of supplements depending on health challenges, but the basics for my dogs are Terrazyme, digestive enzyme, the omegas, and PBSs. So pre and probiotics, you get pre and probiotics in the PB Assist. The first capsule is a prebiotic, neutralizes that stomach acid and especially in a dog is so strong. It can kill most probiotics when it enters the stomach. So that first capsule neutralizes that and allows the second capsule with the chlorophyll. That's why it's green. So it's got all that oxygen plus 6 billion CFUs going down to the digestive tract. It's going to make it down to the small intestines. So it's going to promote positive balance, right? We get good and bad bacteria. It's going to maintain that intestinal microflora, really supporting the healthy immune function and also digestive support. It helps support optimal metabolism and absorption of food, which is super, super important for an elderly dog. As dogs age, they're not able to absorb all the nutrients that are in their food. And sometimes they start getting thin. So, for example, my old guy, Buka, he gets a PB Assist in the morning and at night. Now, everybody else is a little bit younger and doing well. So they get one PB Assist in the evening. You can never have too many probiotics. So even my 7-pound Pomeranian gets a PB Assist, same as my 98-pound lab. And I give it to them in the evening. I do it with their evening meal because their body goes into rest and repair when they're sleeping, and it has a much more impact if you give it in the evening. And if you have a dog that has upset tummy, it helps settle that a little bit too. Then we have the digestive enzymes, which I really was saying, especially if your dog is eating a cooked diet or any type of processed kibble or canned food, you absolutely want to add a digestive enzyme. It not only helps metabolize the food, but it also is giving enzymes back to enzyme deficient processed foods. It helps convert food nutrients into cellular energy. So you're going to find an older guy, if they're really sluggish and have no energy, and you start giving them digestive enzymes, you're going to see them perk up a little bit. Promotes gastrointestinal comfort and food tolerance, supports production of metabolic enzymes, and it's made from whole foods. This is really important because our body knows how to utilize that. It's not a synthetic. And then it also has the tummy tamer. It's got the peppermint, the ginger, and the caraway seeds. So it's helping calm down any inflammation. Because there's a lot of, dogs out there, like people, that have leaky gut syndrome. Here's a little more on the Terrazyme, just because I'm completely in love with this product. Here's exactly some of the enzymes. I won't go through all of them, but you'll get the replay. You can take a screenshot. You can really take a deep dive. This is important, especially if you choose to do a microbiome test on your dog. If they're really struggling with digestive challenges, that may be something that you want to do. I did that with my Buka, and he was missing 21 of the 28 components that he required. So we added this, we added some foods, we added some other things. And then omegas. So I only recommend the doTERRA omegas. I definitely don't, if you had to choose something as a second, I would go to a really good quality human omega, and very last, go to a pet. There's no regulation on the pet industry, so they can put whatever they want in that omega. And they source from really low quality fish. And so 96% of omegas on the market have heavy metal toxins in them, which cause major inflammation. So the Axio Omega, phenomenal. It's great for circulatory health. It's great for joints. It's a powerful antioxidant. It's great for brain health and the nervous system. Every dog should be on this from puppy to the day that they go. My little 7-pound Palm takes 1 in the morning. My 11-pound Brussels Griffon takes 1 in the morning. Buka, my big guy, he takes 2 in the morning and 2 in the evening. As they age, you're going to want to increase those. Now, if Buka strains himself or has any arthritis, and I really need to boost up his anti-inflammatory supplements, I actually will give him 4 in the morning and 4 in the evening. So these are phenomenal. Okay, this is just really quick. Actually, Sherry did this amazing dietary information and resources for us. There's a lot of, you're wondering where to get some of this food. There's a lot of different recipes. Dr. Judy Morgan, Dr. Karen Becker, she has now a new gently cooked diet. There's some support groups on raw diets if you're looking to go that direction. There's keto diets for pets with cancer and seizures. Very interesting information. Here's some other places where we get our raw. So like raw pet food for sale is where I get Buka's alligator. Raw Feeding Miami, I get a lot of my bones there. My Pet Carnivore, I get a lot of my bones there. And down here, this raw pheasant, because he has allergies. My pheasant actually just came in. So a lot of resources. I'm going to make sure you get that in the replay too. I'm going to actually type that out for you all. And so medicine is not healthcare. Food is healthcare, right? Medicine is sick care. Healthcare is preventative, and we need to use nutrition to help support our pet's body. So I want to thank you. I want to stop the screen share and show you a couple of things. So like I was saying, these like the treats, the lamb hearts and the minnows. I mean, they're easy, they're amazing. They absolutely love them. I love these little minnows. They're like, you can see they're just like real little minnows, right? They're ugly little guys. And then as far as feeding raw, this is where a lot of people feel that it's a little bit complicated. It's not complicated. I'm really, really busy and I travel a lot now. So when I had my German Shepherds, I used to do more real raw. I would actually get the chicken backs and the wings and the legs, and you know, my shepherds, even my Brussels Griffons did really well on that. You know, I travel a lot. I'm in a lot of different homes. I don't have time for that. So now, like I was saying, his pheasant just came in. So it comes in a big 5-pound chub like this. And you can see it's prey model. It's 80% muscle, it's 10% bone, and it's 10% organ meat. Sorry, it's really cold. I got to drop it. It's frozen. And so that particular one, what's it missing? The vegetation, right? So if he ate that in the wild, he'd be lacking the vegetation that was in that animal's stomach. So what I do, he is on a cooling diet because he came to us with some allergies. So I will lightly, very, very lightly steam some spinach, maybe some zucchini, maybe some yellow squash. And then I throw it through the food processor because that mimics the homogenizing that would happen in an animal's stomach. And so he gets a little bit of that with each meal. So that's one way. Now the girls, they are, they don't have any allergies or anything. You know, Primal makes a great raw blend. It makes it in these little niblets, super easy. This is like feeding kibble. Take a scoop out, pop it in their bowl. It's thawed in like 20 minutes and I put it on the floor. That's it. That's it. So the raw diet is not complicated. And if you really investigate, then there's the other side that, you know, it might be too expensive. There is a lot of really inexpensive. I want to tell you, this pheasant is a 5-pound chub and it's $19. So to me, that's not expensive because he goes to the vet once a year. He never goes to the vet. My dogs never go to the vet. I never have ear infections. I never have skin infections. I don't have allergies. I don't have emotional problems. Emotional problems stem from the digestive tract too. That's where 70% of their serotonin and their dopamine are made and produced. So if their digestive tract is out of balance, you're going to see stress and anxiety. So a lot of these dogs that are struggling with any type of emotional challenge, the first place you want to start to heal is their digestive tract. And it does, it takes time, definitely takes time. Now, the last question with raw that a lot of vets, and we discussed this in, I think it was our digestive class, a lot of vets are uneducated on raw and they really just don't like it. They go, oh, you're going to get salmonella, you're going to get E. coli, and oh my gosh, your dog's going to die. Well, my dogs have been on raw for over 30 years, but so something like this, or something like Stella and Chewy's raw, this is HPP process. That stands for high power pressure process. So you can feel very, very safe that there are no bacteria in there. Salmonella, E. coli, all of those, you know, icky buggies cannot live under high pressure processed. It loses a little bit of nutritional value doing that as opposed to like Buka's pheasant, but it's a great way to feel confident. Then I get one of the other questions I get is, oh, I've got a baby in the house. I can't feed raw. I was like, well, do you feed your husband chicken? Do you make him a hamburger? How about a steak? You know, I'm like, I'm sure you know how to wash your hands and treat your counters and prepare food safely. So we do the same. We try to do the same for their, I always like that one. Yeah, so anyways, that was it's a very basic nutrition class. We're definitely going to get deep into nutrition, the do's and don'ts in the allergy class. And then if we touched on a little bit in the kidney and liver, you know, when we do our blood work every year, if there is an imbalance, that's when we take a deeper dive and we start either adding or eliminating other things. I had one dog we adopted when he was 11. And he was a mess again, and he was severely anemic from a very severe intestinal parasite infestation that he probably had a very long time. They had migrated into his lung muscles, and so he was extremely anemic. He would go out and go tinkle, and he would tip over and pass out. He just couldn't even walk. So, you know, my vet, who it never gives up, she told me euthanize him, and I said I can't. He wags his tail. And so I started juicing wheatgrass. I just started my research. How can I build his blood? What's the best way to build the blood? I started, oh, looks so sweet. Husky Malamute. I started giving him wheatgrass every day. I juiced it fresh, gave him 3 ounces every day. His hematocrit and his platelets went up and up and up. That boy lived till he was 17 and 2 months old. And he did just amazing. And he was a big lab too. He was another big dog. So nutrition is always the way to go. So ask me anything. Take yourself off mute.
I have a question.
Sure.
For the bone marrow bones, what size would I need to get for, I have 2 dogs, one's 43 pounds and one's 24. So I know I don't want to get them too small.
No, let me, I have a new package. Let me show you. That's a great question. So even my littles, even like my little palm, I always try to get, this is probably about 3.5 to 4 inches, even though she's little, because she chews on the edges, because if they're too small, they can wrap around that bottom jaw. I cannot tell you how many surgeries we did in the animal hospital with it getting stuck on the bottom jaw, and we had to saw the bone off. So you're always better off going larger. And then for my big guy, you know, so even some of the larger ones they're wide for him, but he could still actually get his jaw into this. So for him, and I get the like 6 to 7 inch ones.
Okay.
The larger, but
do they like, is that like a one sitting kind of a thing that they?
Well, I usually, yeah. So I usually, you know, and of course they can be a little bit messy. So you want to put a blanket down or whatever. So like when I go out, I put a new blanket down in Bean's playpen and I give her one of those. If I'm gone for, you know, a couple hours, she has it. Then I take it away. I rinse it. I put it in a Ziploc bag and I'll put it in the refrigerator. You can save them for, you know, up to like 5, 6 days. So it'll last you a week, but I don't let them have them on endlessly. I give them for a specific period of time. Usually, you know, at most 2 to 3 hours if I'm gone, but you know, if I'm home, I might only do like an hour. Like they're all scattered because they have one, because I needed them to be quiet. So I'll give them for an hour, and it's that mental stimulation is amazing for them. But if you're just starting with a bone marrow bone, the meat on the outside is fine, but scoop out the marrow. Scoop out the marrow for new guys, because that's a lot of fat until they get used to it. They could have a runny stool, an upset tummy. You can even, like some people, for some dog, I have a Wheaton that struggles with some digestive challenges, and what I have her do is run, you know, scoop it out as best you can, and then turn on the hot water and run it under hot water for a minute, and it just really melts off a little bit of that extra fat in there, and then you can dry it off. Yeah, and that's helpful.
And then they can just be ordered from online stores?
You can order them online. You can, if you find a great resource, any place that sells Primal, this brand, they sell packages of, you know, free roaming, grass-fed bone marrow bones.
Okay.
Yeah, so you don't want to, you know, unless you can find a good quality one, you know, like you could get it at a Whole Foods, but you definitely don't want to stay away from like I'm trying to think, like a grocery store, like a Stop and Shop or a Publix type of thing, because they're fed antibiotics and hormones, and all of that is in that bone marrow too.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, so you really want to get it organic. Yeah. I was talking with a a woman, she's adopting one of my puppy mill dogs that came up with Bean, and the dog was in a home with somebody else and it wasn't working out. So she's taking the dog, and the dog, same thing, struggled with all this tartar on its teeth. And I just told her the way I remove Bean's tartar is just that simple 1 drop of lemon oil in 2 cups of drinking water and bone marrow bones. Not only mentally was she calming down, but it's cracking all that tartar off her teeth. Her teeth are as white as copy paper now. So it's really, it's a lot cheaper than the $1,400 my vet wanted to scale her teeth.
I have a question. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, okay, I'll make it quick. So with regards to the scooping out of the bone marrow, can you make a broth or anything with that? So you're not just throwing it away, or?
Oh, sure. I just, you could put it into like a bone broth, and that's, I think it was in our digestive class. Did you see the digestive class? Because I'll make sure you get you that. So I actually talk about bone broth, and I give you my recipe for bone broth. I do mushroom broths and make treats and freeze them. That's another great, amazing additive, especially a dog that has cancer. But yeah, you can put it in a bone broth, and then once your bone broth is cooked down, freeze it, put them in ice cube trays, freeze that, and just take out 1 or 2 and add them to their food. Amazing gut healing. Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
I have a question.
Sure.
So my older guy, which is right there, he just came
Oh, hi, Edgar.
in. Edgar, is just, I'm feeding him more than what Riley eats. And
Because
Edgar's
yeah.
24 and Riley's 28. This guy wants to eat all the time. And
Yeah.
I'm having a little bit of a behavioral situation, and I don't know if anybody could help me with. He goes in the kitchen and barks 12 o'clock and then 4 o'clock, and barks and barks and barks until he eats.
He's a starving Marvin.
Yeah, and I've never had a dog do that, and I don't want to, I tried to stimulate him with one of those there's a ball that treats come out of that they like, but he can't, because he can't see well, and that doesn't work. And then I tried taking him out of the kitchen and putting the gate across and not letting him in the kitchen. Doesn't matter, he barks.
Yeah.
Any recommendations, and why is he so hungry?
So ravenous, I think Edgar, so Lisa just adopted Edgar and Claude, and I think Edgar has such severe leaky gut syndrome, severe, especially with all the diarrhea and everything, that he truly is hungry. He truly, it's not just behavioral. I think most of his nutrition is still just leaking through his gut. Are you still feeding him several times a day?
Well, so this past week we went to twice a day, but I do give him a little bit of something at noon.
Okay, good.
Because he's too hungry.
He's hungry. Yeah. And I think he needs it. I think you almost have to think of him like a puppy, that he needs that nutrition. He's definitely going to need it 3 times a day. I would still feed him 3 times a day. And you could try a bone marrow bone to stimulate. You could try the Kongs that you stuff.
Yeah.
You could stuff that with like a baby food, like an organic baby food, or you could even take some of the dehydrated or some of the treats and put that in there. And that will give him extra nutrition, but it'll also mentally stimulate him. But I think he truly needs the nutrition too.
I use the licky mats too, and I'll put like that baby food or whatever and freeze it, because then it takes it even longer for the dog to get it off. So
those are great too. Great idea.
What are they called? I don't know what those are.
They're called lick mats. I'll put a link into the email that I sent out tonight, and you can buy them right on Amazon. But when I'm at home, I put almond butter on mine and I stick it to the refrigerator, and the dogs, it's got all these nubbies in there, and they just lick and lick and lick, and it keeps them busy. And
Oh, cool. That sounds cool.
yeah,
right.
no, and that's, and you know, the snuffle mats. The snuffle mats are really great too. So
I
a
don't
snuff,
know.
I'll put a link for a snuffle mat. That's mental stimulation, and Edgar probably would really like that because he can smell.
Yep.
Doesn't have to see for it. So it's this mat about, you know, yay big, and it's got all these little pieces of fabric, and you hide like treats and stuff in there, and they have to root around for it to
Oh,
find them
perfect.
all. Yeah. Yeah. I was
Okay.
joking with David this afternoon that Bean was thinking Buka was a snuffle mat because she was rooting through his back hair for something. I don't know what, but those are really great stimulations that he could do. That's a great idea, Colleen. Great idea.
Awesome. Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Those are fun.
Great.
And you know, he could have almond butter. You could try that and see how his tummy did with that, because it's a nut butter, but that would also give
Okay.
him a lot of calories and
Okay.
nutrition for him too on the lick mat. That would be good to boost
I
up.
have to tell you, Krista, though, he is doing so well for just over 3
Good.
weeks. I mean, he's
Yay.
changed. He is, I mean, even walking, I mean, he's walking like a half mile. I mean, he's changing so much,
That's
which is
so
really
awesome.
good. But I
It
can't
is.
get him into, I've only been doing very little of the primal.
Yep.
I'm still
Yep.
just doing the chicken,
okay.
the sweet potato, the oatmeal and rice.
Yep. And like I told you,
Okay.
there's some dogs that you just have to, you got to start with like a teaspoon and wait, and then increase to a teaspoon and a half, even for some.
Okay.
And that's okay. That's totally okay. You know
Okay.
what? He's getting stronger. He's building up that muscle tone. He's getting nutrients in there. So he's going to get, he's going to be a whole new dog in 6 months. He really
Okay.
is.
Can I ask, with regards to these two dogs, you mentioned leaky gut. Is he doing Terrazyme PB Assist in that as well?
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
Thank you.
Yep, we have him on all of those, and he has, he does, you know, they had both of them, one had liver changes, one had some kidney changes, but they came from a mom who was very ill and passed away. And so they basically did not have any exercise, complete muscle atrophy. They were in gunk food, and then the change had caused some digestive disturbances, plus the stress of losing their person was hard too on both of these guys. So yeah, it's just a slow process right now. And she just he had blood work in December, and look at him, sweet boy. You know, Elise, even his
put him up
color,
on the bed.
even his
Huh?
color looks better. He's
Oh,
blacker,
I think,
not as
yeah.
gray as he was, like sort of a weird elephant gray before.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. The stuff really works. It's
I
awesome.
told her, I said, make sure you take before and afters. I said, because you're not going to believe it.
It is, it's amazing.
You can always use a towel, rolled up treats in it while you wait for the snuggle mat. Yep. That's awesome too. Great idea.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's great.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks guys. Thank you for all your info. And so I'll get that email out. I'll put all the, I'll get that newsletter out to you guys next week. And I'll put all the links to all the replays of the mini classes. And then tentatively, so far, I just got to check with David. Monday, the 14th, we'll do the allergy class too. And then I do want to, sure. Yeah.
I have a quick question. So you just said that you actually do not recommend peas for dogs?
No.
And why is that? Sorry.
Peas can be, a lot of dogs can be highly allergic to peas. Many dogs, 75% of dogs test positive to pea protein. It's a filler protein. But there's a lot of studies, and I'll see if I can, do you have that study on pea protein, Sherry, handy by chance?
I don't, but I'm wondering if she's asking about frozen peas as like a treat.
Yes, I actually get the frozen organic bag from Costco,
Mhm.
and I add it to his food, like if I'm cooking rice or chicken or something, I add that at the very end for him.
Okay.
That's the kind of peas that I'm actually feeding him. So
Okay,
should I
not
stop?
peas in a processed food. You
No,
could
no,
feed him,
not
or
for,
as long as
not
he
for,
doesn't have allergies and is not reacting to them, an organic frozen pea is fine. Or like pea pods, you can give as treats, buy fresh and give them, that's fine.
okay.
I definitely don't recommend feeding rice. I know you had just said you add rice to the end. They're carnivores by nature. Rice is actually really highly inflammatory to their gut. There's a lot of studies on that, especially Dr. Karen Becker has some great studies on that. She's got a book called The Forever Dog. If you had to feed a food like we did with Edgar, if you had to feed a food because of any digestive disturbances, then sweet potato is much easier for them to
He does
digest.
eat that, but so he's a Siberian Husky, so he's about like 88 pounds.
Yep.
So he likes to eat and he likes his food, but he hates potatoes, but he does like yams. And I
Yep.
tried giving him raw food before.
Yep.
He won't touch it. Like the only thing
Yep.
that he will eat is actually steak. But when it
Yep.
comes down to like raw turkey neck or raw chicken, he won't touch it at all.
And you can stay with your cooked diet. That's great. That's wonderful. I would just eliminate the rice. The rice is really inflammatory for them.
I jump in real quick.
Yeah.
I've had experience with starting new rescues on raw. I had one, Victor absolutely didn't know what to do with the raw food. And so for him, I had to cook it. And he was able to eat it that way. And then I slowly reduced the amount that I was cooking it. So he started to get used to this different texture and smell, because it smells different when it's not cooked. And so it took a good month for me to slowly reduce the amount of cooking. And then once he got it, and he was able to let himself enjoy it and eat it, he would have eaten everybody's bowl. So I like to tell people that changing foods for our dogs is like giving new foods to toddlers. They're not always going to just pick it up and eat it. We're going to have to give them a small amount. Right. Encourage them and know that they're going to have to be exposed to it a number of times before they're going to be able to start to enjoy it. So I would encourage you to try, cooking the food a little bit less and cutting it up into pieces. Sometimes it's, just a tiny bit to get them to try it as opposed to a big chunk.
Well, and it's, so I fostered a husky. I had a husky living with me. His name was Iceman, drop dead gorgeous, blue eyes, just phenomenal. And we had our 3 little Griffs, and he would look at the Griff's food like, ew, just ew. He really didn't want it. He'd come from this young kid, 24-year-old kid that was feeding him kibble. So when he came into my home, he was very, very underweight. He was very thin. And so the same thing that Sherry said is what I did is I took his kibble and then I slowly added like ground turkey that was cooked, gently cooked. I added that in. And then once we got to the point that we were just doing ground turkey cooked and some veggies, and I added some organ meat, now I slowly started to add the raw food in. So I would cook him as blend, but I would take like a tablespoon of this raw blend and just mix it in at the end. So he's starting to get the raw, and then I was able to transition him over. But it took a while, but he he was beautiful. He put a lot of weight on, he had muscle, and he was far too much energy for me. You know, he wanted me to go
Yeah, they're
running
very
like,
energetic, like
oh,
nonstop. Yeah,
5 miles
that's
a
how
day,
mine
like
is.
3 times a day. I was in the best shape of my life, but
Yeah. Yeah, I hike with him quite a bit. So
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, oh, awesome. Well, he's
Okay.
beautiful. He's gorgeous.
Yeah, thank you. And the other thing is, I was going to say, because I do hike quite a bit with him.
Mhm.
I went to Costco. I'm not sure if you are familiar with this at all. Like, I'm
I
not sure if you
am.
can see it.
I am.
Because so he's 8 now, and I'm not sure if I should actually get him some supplements for his joints or anything. He's pretty healthy. He doesn't have like any issues or not. But this is just a sample that I got. What do you think about this product?
So it's a synthetic. So Cosquin is a synthetic. And I think glucosamine, chondroitin, MSM are all really, really great supplements for dogs if they get it from whole foods, if they get so natural glucosamine, natural chondroitin you can get from eggs. So I think that it's a wonderful addition. You're doing the right thing. It's just I would switch it up to more of a whole food. So for an 8-year-old dog, and I'll make sure that you get the replay on pain, inflammation, and injury, because we talk about all the supplements that we use. So for example, the lab that we adopted, he's going to be 13. We only adopted him last year. And we have them on the omegas that we talked about. So omegas are great for joint function, especially if you're hiking with him. You know, you really want to make sure that he has elasticity in his tendons and ligaments. That's super important, because if you don't, it's like a rubber band that's been in the sun, it'll crack and snap. You know, he has the risk of rupturing an ACL, something like that. So the omegas are super important. The deep blue polyphenols are heavy doses of antioxidants. And so I always recommend those because they're scavengers. They're removing that lactic acid, which degenerates that joint. That is important. And then later on, if he needed the turmeric you know, if he was showing signs of aging and arthritis or any inflammation, the turmeric is great. But the basics would be the omegas and the deep blue polys, I think would be a wonderful addition. And if you don't have, you know, we do, I didn't get into it this time because we talked about it before, but all of my dogs get the Lifelong Vitality. They get, which is a vitamin and mineral supplement. And then the Alpha CRS is cellular energy. So all of my dogs get that. And then in that pack is the omegas. So it's all around nutrition. You're filling those gaps of nutrition that maybe they might not get in their food. You know, like today, I was just crazy busy. So Buka had his pheasant. I didn't have time to steam his vegetables. So at least I know he's getting his LLV. So I'm filling those gaps, you know, so he'll live for one night. He'll have it for breakfast tomorrow. He'll be okay.
Not for the supplements, but for the foods. It's not making sure that they get everything in every meal. It's over a period of time.
Like in the wild. So in the wild, they may only eat one day, and then, you know, they may go a couple days, or they may have, and I recommend mixing up proteins. So, you know, Buka will get pheasant one day, he might get alligator the next day, he might get quail the next day, because if they're on the same food over and over and over, you run the risk of developing allergies, and they would never eat like that in the wild. Also, like Sherry's saying. So that's why I don't worry too much. Over a week's time, I know that they're getting everything in, and I mix it up. I might give him zucchini one day and broccoli another day, asparagus another day. Some days he gets eggs, some days not. So I don't really obsess.
So sorry, when it comes to eggs, do you is it raw eggs or boiled?
I give my dogs raw eggs.
Okay.
Only, yeah, and I only you know, something that's from an organic farm or an organic one, you know. a good quality egg.
Yeah,
They,
he used to eat them like raw. I would used to mix it, but now he doesn't want it. He won't touch it. So
And
I don't know.
just like the science for people, you know, sometimes they say that coffee is good for you. Other times they say it's not. You know, the science and the information is always changing. Recently, I saw an article, and I think it was from Dr. Karen Becker, that soft boiled eggs are the format that makes it most bioavailable.
bioavailable. Yeah.
So, you know,
So you could lightly boil them,
yeah.
and they're still
Okay.
getting a lot of the nutrients. Yeah. And I don't know about your dogs, Sherry, if you've tried, but quail eggs, my guys flip out over those little quail eggs. They really, really like them. They're okay with chicken eggs, but they really like quail. And duck eggs for like him, especially if you're hiking, they have double the protein, double the
Oh,
chondroitin, double the glucosamine in them. Duck eggs are really,
Duck
really
eggs.
powerful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Finding a local farmer that has ducks and getting fresh duck eggs is
Is
fantastic.
amazing. Yeah. They're
Okay.
really powerful for them.
I have a neighbor that sells, he raises quails and sells them and the eggs.
Yeah.
And my question about the eggs is I don't always have the best eggs available, and I'm not giving them the shells. But if I get the quail egg from the neighborhood, then they can eat the whole thing. Is that right?
Yeah.
And is it,
Yeah.
so if my
Yes.
aren't getting the shell, are they lacking in calcium or some nutrient?
No,
they're-
because if you're feeding a prey model diet, they're getting the 10% bone from your prey model diet, so they're getting their calcium there.
Okay.
So you don't have to worry about it. But yeah, I do. You know, of course, I wash them. I'm very blessed when I'm at home on Cape Cod. In the summer, my friend Nancy Bishop raises quail, and so every week she'll bring me the quail eggs that didn't hatch, you know. And then down here, I belong to an organic food farm, and we get the duck eggs. So it's but yeah, they can have them. But as long as they're getting the bone elsewhere, if you're feeding a home cooked diet, then you definitely need to look into a calcium supplement or getting those eggs. You know, it's another really great treat as far as, and your husky might like this. And this was one of Dr. Karen Becker's treats is you boil an egg, you hard boil an egg, and then you slice them, and you put them in a dehydrator, and you dehydrate them, and they make crisps. So they make cookies, but they're really crunchy. So if he's a texture kind of guy, he might really like that, because the crunch and and then they're getting all the amazing nutrients from that. That's kind of a cool little treat. Those are
Last
fun.
question, or
Sure.
you
Yeah.
were I'm sorry. You were talking about the LLV, and then you were talking about the calcium supplement. So if the LLV has some calcium, how do you know?
Yeah,
much?
I think you're fine. You're getting enough if they're on the LLV. You're filling those gaps. Yep,
Yeah,
for
thank
sure.
you.
Yeah. It's just, I know a lot of home cooked diets don't add bone. And so it's important to get it someplace. But if you're adding the LLV, then you're filling that gap. That's why I think it's, for me, the LLV is just I'm not perfect. I'm very busy a lot of the times. And but even if I travel, I put all their supplements in a little blob of almond butter, and I put it in their little Ziploc bag so my husband can just dump it out and they eat it. So at least I know they're getting everything. All right, ladies. Well, I will see you all soon. Thanks for joining me for all these. These were fun. They were nice. I like the little mini ones.
Thank you so much.
And I'll get a lot of those links for the lick mat, the snuffle mat. We'll get the old YouTubes back up there, and then I'll figure out the allergy class too. And if you have any other classes, just reach out to me that you want to talk about. I know one lady mentioned a couple classes ago that seizures, she was really interested in seizures, and we're seeing a lot more seizuring dogs lately. So we can go that route. All right, have fun.
Thank you so
Have a great
much. It
day.
was awesome
Thank you so much.
information.
Thank you,
Bye.
guys. Thank you, girls.